Welcome back to a new episode of My Sixth Sense. I am in such a good mood, dude. I don't know if it's because I keep getting in Facebook fights with morons or not, but it makes me smile so much. And we've got a lot to talk about. Things have happened since the last week. Last week we spoke about Original Sin, which is Jake Tapper book, which I do honestly suggest people read. It is a unique insight. He does skip over a lot of his own responsibility in the matter and the media's responsibility in telling the truth. And that's also, probably why.
Yeah, real quick caveat. This is not legal advice, and I'm not advocating to commit any sort of crimes at all, but you should not pay for that book. You should find out how to get it for free somehow.
Sure. And that's probably why Jake Tapper had to hire a crisis team to help him out, because he got everything so wrong. Moving on. A couple things I want to talk about, right? We're just going to kind of go down the list. And a side note, Scott is back again. I'm so happy about that. We've got the original MAGA Man Bad back.
I'm super bad.
Oh yeah, dude. So I want to talk about fiscal responsibility of the right, and we're not even going to call it the big, beautiful bill. We're going to call it the trash can. And then we all need to just kind of address the fact that Cory Booker is now identifying as a Nazi, or he isn't. We're not really sure. Allegedly. And I want to talk a little bit about Trump and Elon and that mom and dad arguing, and that seems to be the end of that relationship. And then lastly, we have a special surprise for you. We're going to talk about the LA riot or protest.
The insurrection.
Depending,
days-long insurrection.
Yes, depending on what side, apparently, of the aisle you're on. You cannot, for some reason, just be in the middle on this and say it's bad. So we're going to get to that. So, excuse me, first, I'm pretty sure the Republicans have a plan to be fiscally responsible and conservative, possibly by the time that Christ returns, which isn't anytime soon. They don't have any plans to deal with the debt or government spending. In fact, they added over time with interest and principal $5.3 trillion to the deficit, that's good work, boys. I want to give a round of applause. Good work, because obviously our whole country isn't on fire. And also, just a side note, if you were to spend $10 million a day, it would take you 1,400 years to reach 5.3 trillion. And none of us are going to live that long because our names aren't Abraham from the Bible. So like I originally said, we had Doge, right? The people who voted the way they voted, like I voted for Trump, and Scott did as well. We voted for fiscal responsibility, no foreign entanglements, among other things. And Doge
deporting.
Yes. And a strong border. So when it came to fiscal responsibility and he introduced Doge, I was more than elated. I think that is just, why would you not want to cut wasteful spending, which is a majority of the government? And then we started seeing things where, Elon would release where this money is going and some of the things it's going to, and you just couldn't believe it. And for some reason, well, it's not some reason, these people don't have a brain, but people on the left just could not. They're just okay with sending money to other countries when they live in places where, like, literally LA was on fire, and they'd rather send their money to Turkmenistan, wherever. And it was so confusing. And it also turns out that it was a scam. The whole thing was a scam. This trash can bill pretty much refunds all of Doge's work, and I'm sure that's partly why mom and dad are fighting a little bit, among another thing. Scott, what are your thoughts on the right? I don't think either party wants to deal with this giant issue.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the biggest, like, political nuclear bomb in America, which is entitlement programs. And if you were to touch any of this politically, it would be like, oh, you're killing grandma and all this stuff again. So do I think that it's stupid? And am I hashtag team Elon? Definitely, absolutely. Also, do I think that Donald Trump is on the Epstein list in a way that indicts him for touching little kids and being, committing felonious acts with underage children? I don't know. I don't think it does, but I think that we know that Trump's already on the documents and the lists and so forth. We knew that a long time ago. He knew Epstein. Epstein went to his hotel and so forth. Um, he also kicked him out and said, "Never come back here, and you're uninvited from my birthday party," and all that stuff. So, it's hard to say. Like, I think Elon is being factual when he says, like, yeah, we're not getting the documents because Trump's in it. I think that's true, but also we had Joe Biden in his FBI for like 4 years. If he was in there and any, come on, man, we have his tax returns. We have all sorts of, yeah. He's
Yes,
not in there for that reason, but
right. This is what arrives at I guess back to the first point is none. Just like he said, it's a nuclear bomb that nobody wants to touch.
yeah,
Someone is really going to have to eventually,
sure.
or we're just going to go broke. So it is crazy. I heard I think it was Dave Smith. I don't know. I always cite him because I genuinely enjoy Dave Smith, but he said it's like if your entire diet was just eating cheesecakes and you ate like 15 cheesecakes a day, you just eat cheesecake after cheesecake, and your friend comes over, Scott comes over to my house, and Scott's like, dude, this like isn't good, and I'm like, dude, I know it's not good. This is not good for my body. I know that I need to stop it. And Scott's like, yeah, that's probably right. And the next day Scott comes back, and I've gone to Costco and I bought 15 more cheesecakes. And Scott's like, what the heck, dude? This isn't good for you. Why did you buy more cheesecakes? And I go, well, we can't just stop this right away. I mean, I've got to eat more cheesecakes to fix this. And Scott's like, no. When he says, Speaker Johnson says on live TV that we can't just fix this, it's like, I mean, you could. It's going to be tough. It's going to suck for a lot of people. They got us there. We didn't. I didn't spend that money. No one else, the government and its pork barrel spending and all that craziness. It's going to be tough to get us out of it. Moving into mom and dad fighting on the internet. You want to go?
And I have a strictly, okay. So I do listen to Ben Shapiro, not because I think Ben Shapiro's opinion like matters specifically. I like getting the news reported by Ben Shapiro because he has this kind of like, shitty right wing approach and
Sure.
and kind of trolly right wing smart guy, but he won't debate anyone of intellect. But I have a strict like, if Ben Shapiro thinks this is a good idea, I immediately think it's a bad idea. That's like my, and he thinks this bill is a great idea and we got to keep all this going specifically because we're going to go into a tailspin recession and the world's over and oh my God, like Israel and Ukraine and how are we ever going to blah, blah, blah. Whenever I start hearing people say that, I'm like, oh, right. This is a really bad piece of legislation. We got to rip the Band-Aid off at some point. We got to stop kicking the can down the road. Like, we don't want to starve grandma and grandpa, and we're not trying to take Medicaid away. But why are we still under COVID lockdown rules for Medicaid? Why are we when they say like, oh, we're going to have all these people go off of Medicaid if this legislation is passed and Trump's kicking everyone off Medicaid. What they're saying is that the exorbitant amount of people that were placed under these programs during the lockdowns via emergency powers will no longer have these benefits, meaning that you can't just like say, I want Medicaid and you just get it. Right. It's more complicated than that, but the things like requiring like work requirements or, I won't lie. It doesn't all come to my mind right now, but basically some of the stuff where they're saying people are I'm doing air quotes here. You can't see it because of my, my bookshelf, but because I have lots of books behind me, but it's nonsense because these people are abusing the system, right? Like, I don't want to kick poor people off. I don't want like disabled kids to not have coverage and all that stuff. But unfortunately, there are people that are abusing the system, and it's having consequences for people that actually need it. With that being said, absolutely, like, what was all the talk about? We're gonna we're going to be fiscally responsible and rein in public spending, and we're at a debt crisis, and if we don't take care of this now, it's the end of the world. And now we're like, whatever, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's Republicans unveil new plan to fix national debt sometimes after the return of Christ.
Right. Is that a Babylon Bee headline?
Absolutely. The next one is Republicans announce plan to keep doing the opposite of what everyone voted for them to do. Which is
right.
It could not be more accurate when it comes to this.
Sure. When it comes to government spending, it's
Trump just promoting this and acting like this is the right thing to do. It makes him look silly. And so, you know, that's my thoughts. This doesn't make any sense. And I hope Massey and Paul run and destroy this duopoly. And I'm wondering if Elon might have something to do with the new party, or who knows. It'll be very interesting. So moving into mom and dad fighting on the internet. It all kind of started when this whole bill was trying to be pushed through, and Elon didn't agree with it, and Trump made a comment, and then Elon took it to DEFCON 3 billion, and which I didn't think was right, but it's still, who knows? It forever ties Trump to this, regardless. It's just the tweet is time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason why they haven't made it public. Have a nice day, DJT. Mark this post for the future. The truth will come out. You're probably right, Scott. He's probably in there somewhere. We don't know. But the thing is, it's like, and just like that, Democrats wanted the Epstein files released. And why didn't they want it released before? Because everyone's on it. Every schmuck out there, every powerful person was captured by Jeffrey Epstein. And I'm sure it has, that's the case when they use words like national security being the reason why they can't release these files. And then, you get Cash Patel on live TV like, we have everything. And
blink if you're in trouble, Cash.
Right. Or your kid's being held at gunpoint. Blink twice. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see where this relationship goes, because I agree with Dave and a couple other people that this relationship, especially with Trump's his kind of arrogant nature, I just don't think that there's going to be anything in the future. It also ties him to this regardless. I mean, regardless if there's anything there or not.
I don't know if you saw, but Jared Kushner's solar company called Mosaic Solar is filed for bankruptcy today.
Really?
Yeah. I think maybe it's like $50 or $60 million, which is a ton of money, but for them, like, well, but because of this big, beautiful bill and the anticipation of solar funding going away, like his son-in-law's company is filing for bankruptcy. So,
and that also could have something to do. Yeah. It had something to do with, part of the bill that Elon didn't like, and, who really knows, but it is sad to see those two. Elon has a point. I think Elon, he did a lot, and it was just completely taken away because the government cannot and will not help American people and spend money correctly. They have to fund foreign wars. They have to fund all this nonsense. And I just think Doge is just the greatest idea, and anyone who doesn't, it really doesn't care. That's my opinion. Does not care about this country.
How hilarious is it too? Like, now the liberals are like it looks like their heads are gonna explode because they don't know. Like, okay, do I like Elon again? Do I still hate him? What do I do? I don't know. My opinions are so torn on this one. Like,
they haven't told them what to think yet.
Yeah.
Republicans, like red till you're dead or whatever, those people that just vote Republicans, those like hardcore MAGA people, they need to go somewhere too, because none of this makes any sense. And you're right, the left is, dude, let's move on to this next one. This will kind of solidify this. The mental gymnastics it already takes now that Elon is kind of against Trump, and then being like, but he's a Nazi, or I thought we were all going to go burn Teslas and key them and put swastikas on them. And now he's like, this sucks. This bill sucks. And this guy's tied to Epstein. And they're like, and so they now can get away with
downloading new opinion.
Yeah. Beep, bop, bop, beep, bop, bop, bop. Which is exactly what it is. So, and so now they can get away with things like this. Okay, so we'll just pause it there. This is unfortunate. I mean, Cory Booker, he's rose to power. Turns out he's part of the Third Reich. So, just like Elon down there, as you can see, they're both presenting, and they didn't do a heart wave. What they did was they hit their chest because they're animal Nazis, and they gave a Nazi Heil, or or they're just waving to the crowd and they're not Nazis and or trying to incite Nazi violence. Now you can go with either one, but you can't say one's any different than the other. They're not. It's just no one wants to talk about this. I haven't seen this anywhere. I saw it for a day, then it went away. I put it on my Facebook like 9 different ways just to try to get someone to engage with me, but no one wants to talk about it. So you spent months destroying this guy's company, drawing swastikas with keys on Teslas. People who didn't even have anything to do with Elon, that just bought Teslas.
And not to mention like all the people's lives that are now destroyed because they went out and followed the crowd. And, you know, like there's teachers and stuff that'll never work. And I mean, they probably will, but you have people facing felony charges and all sorts of crazy stuff because it was popular for like 10 minutes to destroy people's property.
Sure.
You know, and how stupid is Cory Booker to go out there and you don't think like every single PR agency that works with people are like, do not even come close to putting your hand above your head in this, like, don't touch your chest and then put your hand over there. Don't do it. It's like, what is going on right now?
I don't know.
The exact same thing.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's like a test of the emergency broadcast system just to see if they can get away with everything. But
you're probably right.
So like I'm saying, either we all have to get on board with both of them are Nazi sympathizers and want to burn down this country and are calling for violence. As you saw how violent that act was, if you don't,
I personally am scared.
Yeah, if you're listening, you haven't seen it. It is terrifying. You should watch the video and see how absolutely terrifying both of these waves are, or Hiles, whichever one you think they are. But you can't be in both camps. Cory Booker did the same thing. I am all about hypocrisy. That's the reason I got into this. That's the reason I post on Facebook. It is usually just 99% of the time, it's the hypocritical nature of the right and left, and I think it's hilarious. And this is one of those. This is one of those absolute times where, at first, I mean, even me, I was like, "Well, dang, that doesn't look very good." But you know what it is. Scott and I went over this. He's autistic, right? It was just we all thought the same thing because it's just common sense. There's nothing else in his life that says he was trying to incite Nazi violence, and it's because he was connected with Trump. And now you got Cory Booker in California,
and the German lady who said like you shouldn't be ashamed to be a German or something like that.
Yes.
Supposedly. So,
yeah. Anyway, so I'm glad that we can move on from that because no one seems to want to engage with me about Cory Booker's dive into Mein Kampf, among other things. So let's move on to I really was going to try to stretch those 3 things out, but the biggest thing that's happening right now is something that we need to spend the most time on.
I mean, also indicative of hypocrisy. This thing you're about to bring up is also, it's the same thing.
We're going to get into this because this is exactly why I'm bringing it up. It is an awful thing that's happening. It is not good. LA is having what started out as, I'd assume, as protesting ICE.
Yeah.
And their arrests of illegal immigrants, and that's perfectly fine. That's all perfectly fine. It is turned into a riot. I have people on my Facebook that say things like, "Well, I'm going to wait until all of this comes out, and then I can make a decision." It's like, I'm not really sure what you have to see. I have searched CNN, MSNBC, all left-wing, all right-wing media. They're all showing the same footage. And if you look at that footage and you're like, "These are peaceful protesters," then God Almighty, I can't imagine
they're peacefully lighting Weibo or whatever cars on fire.
Yes. You start burning stuff. You start destroying public and private property. You should go to jail, just like January 6th. Those people that participated should go to jail. Now, I want to make a quick point.
You go first.
When they say most, this is the left's framing of these things, usually for whatever reason, like the Summer of Love, it was a mostly peaceful protest. Okay, mostly peaceful. So in that regard, 10,000 plus people showed up to the Capitol on January 6th. 2,000 to 2,500 people entered the Capitol. That's a mostly peaceful protest, right? Okay, so those people, those 2,500 people that incited violence, that destroyed stuff, that actually broke the law, need to be in jail. They need to be in prison. But the thing is, that percentage, that small percentage of people, make the other 90% completely irrelevant. No one's going to focus on the people that are down there peacefully protesting, right?
It was a higher number, by the way, that showed up to the Capitol, but yes. And I think it was 1,500 people that were pardoned by Trump.
Okay.
So I'm just correcting the numbers there. But
over 1,400 people have been federally charged with the Capitol entry. More than 1,000 have pled guilty. Okay. But in these situations, it's just like every situation is like this, right? So you can have a discussion on whether this is a protest or whether it's not. But the fact of the matter is, say there's 10,000 people there and 100 people start committing violence, it makes the other 98% of people completely irrelevant, because you have to focus on that 1% that started a riot.
Well, one other thing too, let me just interject as well here, is that they pled guilty to obstruction of an official proceeding and parading on Capitol grounds or whatever, right? So not all of them pled guilty to violent crime as well. And I think that there is an important distinction here, especially when we're talking about the LA riots that are happening right now, because not everyone there right now should face the same level of scrutiny as well. Like we're not saying that everyone there is violent. We're not saying that, or I'm not saying that there are people there peacefully protesting. There are people there that are part of a protest. There are also people there that are not there to protest. They're there to like clash violently with the state, with police, with federal law enforcement. They're wearing like Soviet flags and crap, they are Antifa agitators, and Antifa's bad, just because their name is anti-fascist doesn't mean that they're good people. They're anti-fascists, but they're also communists. They are self-described communists, so they're not good people. And it's very important, I think, for us specifically to make this distinction, because this is the back and forth that keeps happening between left and right. We have people that are saying, oh, well, this is a protest, or headlines from news outlets, oh, protests happening in LA, ICE clashes with protests. Sure, parts of it are a protest, just like parts of January 6th were a protest, just like people that entered the Capitol building by walking into some open doors, right? They didn't hit any police officers. They didn't deface public property. They didn't do anything other than walk into open doors, and were charged with federal crimes, right? We have to make a clear distinction between what is acceptable as protest and peaceful assembly, and what is rioting, and what is an insurrection. These things, they can't be used interchangeably, because when we do that, it gives
when you want them to.
Right. And when we do that, it gives the state the power to further erode our civil rights. This is the unfortunate side effect of the LA riots. First of all, I think that the National Guard should absolutely go in. I know that sounds weird, right? But they absolutely need to go in and stop this shit, like ASAP. It should have happened on Saturday. I don't know why it's taken so long. I think because of optics. But with that being said, the unfortunate side effect is that now the state will garner more power. They will consolidate more authority to do this stuff. And this started with January 6th, when the leftists, the, vanilla Democrats were all just parroting, oh, insurrection, 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 right? The FBI should go and hunt down old women and, moms and dads that were just kind of there, right? Anyone that was like on camera at the Capitol building that day got a visit from the FBI if they could be identified. That's where all this crap started. And now the Democrats are going to see what can they opened up, right? What they did when they opened Pandora's box there, because that same authority is going to be used against them now. And it should be. But once it is used, we need to have a reconciliation and go, yo, we got to put Pandora back in the box, because just ratcheting this further is scary to me, you know? So I think that you have violent agitators in the form of Antifa showing up in LA right now with the purpose of creating civil unrest. And if it's not taken care of quickly, I think we'll have a much larger problem on our hands. Real quick, I know you want to respond, but real quick, I have the text of the First Amendment up in front of me as well. And I would just want to read it for anyone that's listening to this, because there's a very important word in this text. Okay. So First Amendment reads, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. So both of those are in there. Or the right of the people to peaceably to assemble, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble. I will say it again. And to petition the government for a redress of grievances. It does not mean that you can go and burn shit down and throw rocks at people and deface public property and private property. And that's where it goes from First Amendment protest into riot territory. And I just think this is a moment as a society where we can really clarify this point. So yeah, that's what I got to say about that.
Dude, I mean, listen, I agree. And listen, people who destroy property need to be in, period. Everyone needs to be held to the same standard. This is not because this fits your narrative or it is the narrative of your team. Your team sucks, by the way. Yeah. Both your teams suck. And just relevant to this, the comments that I've got on Facebook are hysterical. I really appreciate you guys. The three, it's not even going to give any semblance to their names, but you guys don't make any sense. And it's so tribalistic to think that this is any different from January 6th. You don't have you bring no arguments and you bring no positions to state otherwise. It is just the same. And those people should be arrested just like the people on January 6th. I truly believe that. If you break the law, something that I also have to read, because I was just going over this morning, like just looking through this. The definition of an insurrection is rebellion against the authority of the United States or its laws. And so upon just kind of like asking and going through like ChatGPT and just kind of like keep asking it questions to see if I could get just kind of a more understanding about what the difference is here, it really couldn't give me any. And it's sometimes the reason I like ChatGPT is because it's more left leaning. And it really couldn't. It was just all about media narrative is really where it went. How the media is. I mean, when you watch CNN, it is videos in the right hand corner of police cars on fire. And then on the left, it's some ditz saying, these peaceful protests it is a complete overreach of power if Trump sends in the National Guard. These people are just protesting ICE. And she doesn't know, but 4.5 centimeters from her face is like burning vehicles. And you can't make this up.
Another ironic point here, right?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Is that I keep seeing, and this is the poll from your Facebook thread as well. People are like, oh, well, there's no warrant. They're just like pulling people off the street without warrant. And this is due process. And this is America and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, let's say that someone is like actively robbing the gas station down the street. Okay. And someone in there calls the cops and the cops show up. Right. And this is a hyperbolic argument that I'm making. I'm going to qualify that. Some may even say, especially if they are from Northern Virginia and have something wrong with their brain, right? Because there's something in the air up there makes you dumb, I think. But you may even say it's a false equivalency, right? You may even say that if you're a stupid idiot from Northern Virginia. Forgive me, I can't help myself. I'm sorry. But I can't help myself. But there's actively a crime occurring at the gas station and someone calls the cops and goes, hey, there's a robbery happening. And they pull up out front and they get out of their car and they roll inside, do they go, "Sir, I have a warrant for your arrest. I'm actively due processing you at this moment, and you must comply." And does a warrant? No, because you don't need a warrant to actively detain someone in the commission of a crime. Okay, and that's what illegal immigrants are doing. We can pontificate and argue about if they want to get a job and come to America and live a better life, which I would say a majority of them do. And I have deepest sympathies for that. That's super based and awesome.
And
However, right, it is noble. They want to provide for their families and create a better life for them and their progeny. And that, I have no ill will towards these people. However, there is a way to do it and a proper way to do it. And that has to happen. With that being said, the people that are being detained are active criminals. They are bad people for the most part. I can't speak to all of them, but the ones that I've seen being detained are, some of the worst of the bunch. And even if you are here past your visa, you are committing a federal crime. That's called a felony. You don't need a warrant to be arrested for actively committing a crime, especially a felony. So cut the BS about needing warrants to arrest people under immigration enforcement laws. If they are in here and their visa is expired, it is no different legally speaking than robbing the gas station down the street. And the cops don't need a freaking warrant to arrest someone for robbing the gas station.
First off, that's just nonsense. I don't know who.
I mean, you got that idiot on your Facebook saying that in like every comment right now. Dude's a moron. I don't know if he listens to it, but you're stupid, bro. His name begins with a T. His last name begins with an R. Oh, and the argument is that the riots happening in LA right now are a response to due process not being used and warrants not being issued to arrest these people, right? So because you feel like you are now the greatest lawyer on the planet Earth, that you can actively facilitate violence against federal authorities. Now, with that same argument, what's the problem with January 6th? That's all I got to say. What is your argument against the rioters and the people committing violent acts on January 6th, 2021? There isn't a difference. So it's we either go, hey, there's a small group of people that are like actively committing violence and actively perpetuating this, and they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law, be arrested. And there's this other group of people that are just kind of hanging out. And then with that being said, we really need to clarify you brought up insurrection, right? Like, what was the definition of an insurrection again?
The definition of an insurrection is a rebellion against the authority of the United States or its laws.
So how is a sanctuary state not an insurrection then? Like, how is it not? How is blatantly and flagrantly saying we're not going to enforce federal law, how is that not an insurrection? Doesn't make sense to me. If we want to go down that rabbit hole. So I digress. I'm ranting, but there's a whole lot of like kind of hypocritical mental gymnastics nonsense going on with this one right now.
Yeah. And honestly, I'd like to hear the other side. If it makes sense, if it's just nonsense, which is like what my Facebook has been, where I'm like, am I missing something? Like, I'm genuinely asking, and all you do is get on there and say the most useless nonsense. That's exactly what I think of your dumb side. That's exactly what I think about the right. I mean, dude, I can't tell you how insane it is watching people give credence to like what is happening there, but then in the same side, different side of their mouth, they're saying January 6th is a violent uprising in America. And somebody famous said it was worse than 9/11, which is it's ridiculous. Dude, we're going to see. We're going to see. I had somebody say that they're going to wait until the end to just see what the evidence is that this is a riot. And like I said, I think that's a wild statement, because you just can turn on the television or just get on Twitter and search LA. You can even, I've tried it, search LA protests. If you don't like using that big bad R word, you can search LA protests and it'll all come up. The last one I just saw, I literally was just watching it. It is 6 cop cars that have smashed windows and are on fire. So again, going back to my first thing, the 1% are instigating this, and it is now a riot. And those people should be held criminally responsible. And it is. It is, by every definition, it is an insurrection. And if that thought process is giving credence to, some guy said I'm giving free marketing to Tim Pool. If that thought is helping Tim Pool in any way, okay, great. I should honestly just respond to some of these. They're absolutely wild. Okay,
Tim Pool sucks. I hate Tim Pool. I don't hate him, but
that's what I said. I said he's
boring.
A doofus. One guy said cross the line, stuff like this is why I haven't commented, and I'll reserve judgment until I've heard all sides. There's 2 sides, not just a clip used to usher me to one side or the other.
Okay.
That's redundant and doesn't make any sense. Let's see what else we got.
We're asking about this specific clip. Is this specific clip bad or good? Can you just answer that and we can proceed?
Sure.
That's all I'm saying. Like,
I got Diego Gutierrez.
Oh boy.
Hey, why can't I just see all comments? Okay, here. There was one where he said, it's interesting watching all the white people take this side. And it's like, I don't understand what me being white has to do with all of this.
Is that interesting? Is that like how low your IQ is that's what you find interesting?
Yeah. I guess. And then this person also said they are all on their computers talking about protests. And I said, where are you? Like, are you on your computer talking about protests too? Like,
and he's interrupting his Bahama vacation to talk about protests.
Yeah.
What a loser. You know what I'm saying?
Why would they be at someone else who I don't even know this person really anymore. Why would they be at this protest? They haven't received their marching orders from Trump yet. Dude, of all the ignorant stuff, I mean, we're not even, I don't even understand how. My comment was, how many white supremacists are at this protest? Is this the Summer of Love 2.0? Dude, this is bad. The videos, every video I've seen, even the ones on all of the left-leaning networks, are not good. Right. If you're destroying shit, you go to jail, period. There are people on January 6th that need to go to jail. There are people here that need to go to jail. And he should. I agree with you. He needs to squash this immediately. Clint Russell was correct. That if you want to kind of end with that, about
it's an unfortunate reality that that we need federal authorities to take care of this, because again, they will take power and it does not get given back.
Okay,
like, that's the unfortunate side effect of.
I'm going to share this real quick, and so we can
go ahead.
Is this good or is this bad? We'll play a game. Here's the game. I'm going to play this video. Tell me if this is good or bad.
Like to play a game.
Is this good or is this bad?
The context in which history occurs. Context. That's my Kamala Harris.
Oh, here we go. And I also wanted you to read the intent that ChatGPT said after I said, well, wait, don't these both kind of fit that insurrection? Intent was explicit, storming the Capitol to halt a certified federal process. Some writers literally said, we're here to stop the steal. And then in LA, protesters, right? Protesters. There's a key difference, you see? One says rioters, one says protesters, are acting against government policy, but not to topple the government or seize power. Still, they are defying federal authority through violent means. So in this whole sentence was used the word protesters and then through violent means. So do you see the phrasing there? Do you see the phrasing?
What do you call a protester who's violent? Ask ChatGPT that. Go ahead and ask it right now.
Okay.
What do you call a protester that becomes violent?
Rioters.
Woo,
agitators,
there we go. Wow.
violent demonstrators, insurgents, mob, domestic terrorists, anarchists, criminals.
What do you know, ChatGPT?
But ChatGPT in the same sentence will say their intent is different because the protesters then became violent.
So stupid. Okay, so the other thing is, okay, so the definition was they intentionally were going in to overthrow the whatever. What are these morons doing? They're usurping federal authority. This is federal law. You don't get to just say come on in and be a citizen. Or,
now what I'm seeing
stupid
on Twitter is, why does this shit happen under Donald Trump? I've seen it like 9 times.
Yeah, because there is an active politic within the United States that goes to sleep when Democrats are in power, right? Remember, I'm old enough to remember when the fascist boot was placed upon my neck so that I couldn't go outside. My entire life savings was destroyed. My business was destroyed. I was excommunicated from polite society, all by the state, all by the good intentions of liberals and Democrats. And now we're worried about fascism. Now we're worried about authoritarian government. It's nonsense. We need reconciliation. We need a truthful discussion. We need to come to as close as we can to using that O word, that objective standards for how we talk about these things. They are either bad or they are good. And it does not matter for which the intention or the ideas by which you use violence or you use the authoritative use of government. It's either bad or it's good, right? And I'll admit, like, is there a functional difference between LA and January 6th? Sure, right? But one's happening at public buildings, you know. Now, granted, the LA rioters are destroying public buildings as well, but one was happening to like actively stop a governmental function from occurring, I suppose, like the wheels of government turning. And this one is more granular. This one's more a local, I guess, level, but they're the same thing, man. They're the same thing. Anyway, I'm rambling now. It gets me so annoyed. It gets me so annoyed because I'm old enough to remember COVID. I'm old enough to remember 2020 as well, when all this crap was going on the last time. It is like clockwork. As soon as Trump's back in office, now the calls go out. Hey, you guys got to be out rioting. You got to get out agitating and causing these scenes again.
Okay, and here's one more. This is my favorite because they always say, so pictures of January 6th videos where they're like, look at the riots in LA. And then they go, oh, wait, this is January 6th. And it looks kind of like this. Interesting. That looks a lot
January
like
6th.
No, this is right now. This is aerial footage from yesterday.
Oh, okay.
But then in the same regard, let's where did I just see it? Right here. Right here. This is January 6th.
Like it's just frozen right now.
Oh, okay.
But I can't. I mean, it's functionally the same thing.
Yeah.
Functionally the same thing.
The motive to me doesn't matter. It's the fact that they're both illegal and they both need to be dealt with immediately. I just thought January 6th was dumb. Real dumb. I've always thought it was dumb. The
National Guard should have gone in too.
They tried.
The National Guard should have gone in.
They tried. The mayor,
Pelosi, denied it.
And Pelosi and the sergeant at arms denied it. They have paperwork proving that. They asked multiple times, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure?" And once it started happening, they did deploy. They just couldn't get. You can't mobilize, thousands of people that quickly. They're just.
So the National Guard was deployed on January 6th.
I believe that was in the.
I know Kash Patel said that they were asking for it over and over, and Pelosi and the mayor denied it. What's her face?
Yes.
Bowser or whatever.
Yes, I believe it was in Durham. Yeah, I believe it. I mean, I think at the end of his book, he said it just took them a little bit of time, but yes, it was deployed on January 6th, but only after a significant delay. And that delay that delay came because everyone they asked, they have to, because they can't just deploy in DC. They have to ask the mayor, right? Unless they federalize. But you ask the mayor and Sergeant at Arms and Nancy Pelosi, and they all in writing said no.
I remember a lot of news articles at the time too. You know, a lot of this has been hold, but I know I'm not crazy on this one. But there were articles coming out before January 6th saying Trump wants to mobilize the National Guard and this is fascism and all this stuff. And they were like actively attacking Trump in the newspapers for wanting to bring the National Guard in before the rally. I remember this specifically.
Yep. Well, that was Kash Patel. He was in the Oval when this was happening. He reported on this. Like, this is just the way it was. Like, we asked them, they said no, and then as soon as it was like, oh, it's out of hand now, then it was like the fastest mobilization. You just don't like Trump, and that's the problem. Like we got to end pretty soon. So this is like the overarching theme is it's only because it's Trump. That is it. That is why the left is so hell-bent on acting like this is a protest. And then it's so hell-bent, the right is so hell-bent on acting like it was you know what I'm saying? It's just tribalism. Both of them are dumb. Both of them need to be dealt with or should have been dealt with. And those people need to be in jail, period. This isn't correct. So I guess just to recap on everything, Elon is not a Nazi. Neither is Cory Booker, or they are, whichever one you want to go with. Allegedly. Trump, mom and dad are fighting and probably will not get back together. They're getting divorced.
As they should. They're both fundamentally different people.
Dude, 100 bazillion%. The big, beautiful bill is a trash can that just adds 5.3 trillion.
Yes.
I think it's 3 trillion to the national debt or to interest, and then 2.3 to principal or whatever it is.
I think the federal government just updated to Windows 7. I know you're trying to end, but that just, when we're talking about waste and fraud and all that shit, it's not just Medicaid. It's not just the military. The government uses Windows XP and stuff. Okay. Like they use redundancies to employ people. End of story. It's so stupid.
And here we go. January 6th became a riot.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
January 6th was a riot.
Yep.
Yes. LA, it is not a protest anymore. It's now a riot.
Yeah.
Very easy to understand. You start burning shit or hurting people or becoming violent. Even your left-wing ChatGPT says so. It is a riot.
Yeah.
Good day to all of you. Hey there, if you enjoyed this video, click subscribe so you know when all the new content from My Sixth Sense drops. And if you want to listen to me, which who knows, some people do, check out My Sixth Sense with a C, anywhere you listen to podcasts.